Hi YouTubers, it's Fortune Cookie 45LC coming to you with the topic of tactical rifle scopes. Now, a tactical rifle scope is intended to engage targets with precision fire inside 300 yards, with most of the shots from 150 yards and in. And that's the definition of tactical. It means shorter range engagement and all things pertaining to that shorter range engagement. Tactics. So if any of you have a scout rifle or a AR-15 or AK-47 and you're looking for a tactical scope for that rifle, the Weaver 1 to 3 power classic tactical scope is a pretty good choice. Now it turns out that quite a few 3-gun shooters like this scope. So I figured that might be a good one to use to get for my scout rifle. Now this rifle scope sells for $169, $170 from Midway. But if you shop around, Natchez Shooter's Supply, located in Chattanooga, Tennessee, has this scope for sale for $144.95. That's a lot better than $169, $170. That's like finding $25. So I went ahead and placed an order. And at the date of this video, Natchez still has more of these scopes for sale. 1 to 3 power. So I got it home and went ahead and put it on my scout rifle. Now this is not mounted in the scout position, which is in front of the receiver. And the reason why is this is not an intermediate eye relief scope. This is actually a normal eye relief scope, but that's what I wanted. Because the scope mounted here puts the weight between the hands. And since I liked the handling of the scout rifle, I didn't want to change that balance point, because if you have an intermediate eye relief scope mounted in front of the receiver, it changes the balance out toward the muzzle. Now you might like that, but in my case I didn't want that, so I went ahead and got the traditional scope position for the scout rifle. Now Ruger supplies the rings for the rifle already. So that saves you from having to buy the rings. And not only that, but the base is integral with the action for the Ruger Model 77 Hawkeye gun sight rifle action. So the rings are mounted right onto those integral bases, and so there's no bases to buy either, which is nice. But now let's review the scope. The scope is a 1-piece tube, a 1-inch tube. It's matte black. The scope is a little over 9 inches long, and it weighs a little bit more than 8 ounces, or half a pound, which is not bad. Matte black finish. The scope is made in Japan. It's shockproof, fog proof, and it's waterproof. And it mounts low to the receiver so that when you throw the rifle up to your eye, the scope gives you a big field of view at 1 power. And we're always concerned about a scout rifle being fast and handy. Well, at 1 power, the field of view is 8 feet at 10 yards. So if you have a close-in target and you throw the rifle up, you'll get that target in the field of view without any trouble at all. And of course, at 100 yards, your field of view is about 90 feet. At 3 power, it brings it down to 30 feet. So 3 power lets you actually engage targets out to 300 yards without too much trouble. Now, for those of you who are curious, I have the rifle sitting on a Outers Varminter rifle rest, and this rest is fully adjustable for elevation and for traverse, and it has yokes that do not mar your rifle, and it's just what it says. It's great for varminting or taking to the range and shooting off a bench. But for any varmint rifle, this works very well. Now, it doesn't have any recoil reduction. You put your shoulder here. Okay, back to the scope. So you see the scope looks like it belongs on this scout rifle, because the scope is shorter and smaller. Now, Weaver is a fine name in American rifle scopes, but once again, this scope is made in Japan and very well made. It's a very bright scope. It's got a very large exit pupil at 1 power. See if you can see the exit pupil there. There's the exit pupil. Pretty big exit pupil. So it's very good in that regard. It has 1/4 inch click adjustments, and the eye relief is a little bit more than 3 inches. Now, the nice thing about the power adjustment ring is at 1 power, the little knob here on the ring, is right at 9 o'clock. And if you want 3 power, you crank the knob right over to 3 o'clock. So you can actually feel the adjustment ring and the knob, where this knob is, that you're at 3 power. And if you crank it back to 9 o'clock, you know you're at 1 power. So you can tell by feel. The scope has a large range of adjustability. It has 52 inches of adjustability at 100 yards. But the amazing thing is that when I bore sighted this scope by taking the bolt out and looking down the bore and then seeing where the crosshairs were, the crosshairs are already right on the bore sight. So I didn't have to make any adjustments to bore sight the rifle. Now, I haven't taken it to the range yet, but when I do the final adjustment of the crosshairs onto the point of impact, it won't be off by much. So that basically we have the full range of adjustability available to us. So YouTubers out there, if you're in the market for a tactical scope 1 to 3 power, you might look into this Weaver. It's got good reviews on the internet, and if it's used by 3-gun shooters, no, not all 3-gun shooters, but quite a few, they like this scope, then we can give consideration. Now let's see if you can see what this scope looks like when we look through the viewfinder, or right through the scope. See if we can see that, so you can get an idea of the field of view. And that's a pretty good field of view, very clear, sharp scope. So YouTubers out there, let's give you another look at it close up. Now, one thing about the scope that I don't appreciate is they didn't include any scope covers. So there's no plastic caps that go over that, but I found that aftermarket scope covers, such as the bikini scope cover, work very well. And you've seen that on some of my other YouTube videos. So YouTubers out there, take care. Enjoy your rifles, shoot up a storm, have a good time at the range, and we'll see you again at the next video.